You can come right down 16 into Charlotte. You can cut. The nice part about this is it gives you the opportunity to get a home for far less than what you would pay in other regions. Now, if you've never heard about the Whitewater Center, it used to be considered the National Whitewater Center. So in this video, I'm going to take you through everything when it comes to Mount Holly. Mount Holly is a cute little town. I actually really love Mount Holly. It has grown on me over the years, and the town itself has grown quite substantially over the last little while. It sits just to the northwest of Charlotte, making it an ideal location if you want to commute in, but you want a little bit of peace and quiet just over the 𝗖𝗀 River. So let us take a look at our map view. I'm going to take you through the map and show you all the little areas, what you need to know, where you need to go, and a little bit of fun as well. Let's dive in. So welcome to Mount Holly. I love this little area. It is super cute in my personal opinion. I'm going to give you a bird's eye view, and then we are going to dive into the nitty gritty of where you need to be in Mount Holly, what other towns are neighboring it, and what are some of these commute times, prices, and cost of living that you need to be aware of. So let's start with our bird's eye 10,000 foot view, which I don't actually know if this is 10,000 foot view. You let me know. I haven't researched this. So here is our beautiful Charlotte. Mount Holly sits right here. We are from Mount Holly. You're about 3.5 hours from either Myrtle Beach out here in Wilmington, or all the way down if you want to go down to Charleston. Either which way, it's about 3.5 hours. You're also only about 2 hours from the mountains. Now that includes the mountains of Asheville, as well as if you want to go up here into Boone. It's about the same distance, give or take. Coming on and zooming in here, Mount Holly is a very unique area, and part of the reason for that is it's south of Lake Norman, but it's north of Lake Wylie. In fact, it sits right on the 𝗖𝗀 River right here and a little bit of Mountain Island Lake. So Mountain Island Lake comes down out from Lake Norman. All of them are technically interconnected, but this is the next southernmost lake to Lake Norman, which is Mountain Island. It's rather small. It's a cute little lake. There are some properties on it, but most of it is actually, if you take a look here, most of this is actually preserved, which is the rural nature preserves, a lot of nature preserved, a lot of preserves up and around this area, which is wonderful. It's great for the wildlife. But as you can see, Mount Holly kind of comes in here and then it sprawls. That's one thing about a lot of the towns here in the Charlotte area and across North Carolina. If you look at the actual outline of the town itself, it's a smattering of the town all throughout. So if you even look at this map, you can see it's Mount Holly, but if you go next to it, it could be Stanley. Over here's Mount Holly, over here's Mount Holly, that's Stanley. So they're all very much intertwined. So that's just one thing to keep in mind when we're taking a look at Mount Holly. One of the other things to note is its actual location with proximity to Charlotte. So let's take a look at this real quick. So we've got Charlotte right down here, and we've got several major thoroughfares that are going to get you from Mount Holly into Charlotte, if that's where you choose to go. We're gonna look at a few different aspects here. You can come right down 16 into Charlotte. You can come down 27, you can come in I-85, or you can come in I-74. All of these routes are gonna take you into uptown Charlotte. Now, the other piece to this is you're right off of 485 and you're right to the north of 85. These are two major intersections. In addition to that, you're not far from I-77 over here if you needed to go further north. So if we are looking at this map from a standpoint of perhaps you need to commute all the way down to Fort Mill, which is down right over here. There we go, Fort Mill down here, or maybe you need to go up into Concord, or maybe you're even commuting out to Indian Trail, downtown Charlotte, any one of these areas, you have a major route that you can take to get to any of these locations, which you've got 4 that come in here, but it makes it easy for you to get just about anywhere. Now, here is gonna be your major challenge with this area if you're living in this area. If you decide that you want to live right here, but you go I-85 west every day in the afternoon, you're gonna get some traffic. So right in this corridor right here is where you're gonna see your heaviest traffic when it comes to I-85. It actually probably runs more so here, but really your heaviest is right in through here. The reason being it goes from a 4-lane down to a 3-lane, and then on the opposite side of Gastonia, it goes down to a 2-lane, which, as anybody who's ever been on interstate knows, that can cause problems. So that's gonna be your major issue area right there. Now, if you are not going westbound, during that time you're going eastbound, you'll still hit just a little bit of traffic over here as well, just a little bit, but nothing bad. Where you're getting the most traffic is headed westbound. Now our other heavily traffic ridden area, if we're gonna go and look at the map here, if you are going and commuting on the outer belt line in the morning or the inner belt line in the afternoon, meaning you work down here and you're commuting from Mount Holly down to this area, these are going to be your two more heavily trafficked areas. So be that northbound in the afternoon, southbound in the morning. These are going to be your heavy areas. Now, part of the reason for that is due to this right here, Valentine. So this is a huge business park that sits right here. So you do have a lot of traffic going that way. Your second one is that people really do commute to Fort Mill and Rock Hill. So keep that in mind with your commutes. When I'm talking about traffic, we're not talking LA or Atlanta or New York kind of traffic where you're leaving an hour early for work. We're talking a 10-minute slowdown on a good day or on a bad day. So it's really not going to be that bad. I'm 𝗖𝗁 Lindsay with Living in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you've been thinking about moving to Charlotte or the surrounding suburbs, go ahead and subscribe below so you can be the first to learn about the current market here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I love helping people just like you who are looking to move to Charlotte, North Carolina or relocate to another area of town. So whether it's 9 days or 90 days from now, feel free to give me a text, a call, an email, or even set up a Zoom meeting. All of my contact information is in the description below. I'd be happy to make your move everything you want it to be. So let's talk about the town of Mount Holly itself. Mount Holly is a cute little town, but it doesn't have a lot of industry. In fact, it's more of a town for living where those commute out of the town to go and live their daily working lives. So let's talk a little bit about it. So like most of the industries in the North Carolina area and South Carolina, we have a lot of history in textiles, and Mount Holly was not any stranger to that. In fact, back in 1875, there was the foundation of the Mount Holly Cotton Mill. Now, this was the fourth cotton mill of its kind that had been built in Mount Holly, but because of the prosperous nature of the community, because of the cotton mills and the textile industry, it led for the town being incorporated back in 1879. In fact, this is the oldest surviving mill in Gaston County and certainly brings a lot of pride to those who know the heritage of the town. Now, Mount Holly exists in the county of Gaston County. That might sound familiar from the town Gastonia, which sits to the southeast. Right over here, Gastonia, this sits in Gaston County. Now, because of Mount Holly's strategic location, it was also an ideal area for having the railroads run through. The first was built in 1860, while the next came in 1911. So let's talk a little bit about the current industry going on in Mount Holly. When we're talking about industry in the Mount Holly area, what we really are going to see is healthcare as well as manufacturing as two of the top dominant industries in the area. Freightliner, GM, as well as other brands, as well as, of course, still textile machining companies are still present in the Mount Holly area. Sure enough, Mount Holly has a lower unemployment rate than the rest of the country, sitting at 5%, with the rest of the country at about 6.6. So let's take a look at the map of Mount Holly. If we zoom in, you're going to notice that Mount Holly is going to sit right on the Catawba River, and there is a main road that comes through, which is East Charlotte Avenue. If you do come in this way, you will pass over the Catawba River, but I want to point out this area right here. So you're going to notice there's a lot of rail lines. As I mentioned, this is a hub, or was back in the day, for the railroad. There are two lines that go over the river that flank the side of this road, which is East Charlotte Ave. Now, when you do come into this area, you're also going to notice there are no houses that sit on the Catawba River. There are many reasons for that, one of which being it's protected land. Now you're going to see some a little bit further up here. These are very old houses. Another reason for this is because of the Duke energy plant. So Duke owns a majority of the land that sits right on the Catawba River, which is why you're not going to get lakefront or riverfront property in Mount Holly. Now, instead, if you want lakefront, you can go up to Mountain Island Lake, which is also still controlled by Duke Energy as a waterway. Now, coming back into Mount Holly proper, let me zoom in here. This is the sweetest little town. So if we come right in here, we're going to come right onto, of course, North Main Street. Every single town has a main street this is no different. Now, what do I love about this little town? Well, one, it's proximity. You can get to this little downtown area of Mount Holly about 25 minutes from downtown Charlotte. You can get there from Rock Hill in about 40 minutes. You can get there from Concord in about 30 minutes, as well as Huntersville in about 15. So it's a very easy to get, probably 20. It's a very easy to get to location, but it is so quaint. So if we go ahead and zoom in here, you're gonna notice there's a main thoroughfare, which also flanks the railroad. And you've got everything from little coffee shops, which I'll pull up these photos here because I love this coffee shop. So I've got great little pastries. It's a cute little area. Honestly, I think they have a great chai latte. You guys know I love chai lattes. So definitely worth checking out. Now, if we continue on our little tour here, we've got a salon. There's actually a tattoo parlor down here as well. You've got all kinds of little shops. And I love this little dance studio. But what I love most of all is it still looks as it did long, long ago. So here's a little look at it. That's the end of the road there. As we swing back around and head on down the street, as I mentioned, you have these cute little shops. So this is this little dance studio. You have a little restaurant over here, Dollar Express, and then it goes through this intersection, which if you want to see what a little town looks like, this is the perfect intersection for it. American flags lining the roadway, and you cross right over to the other side. And you've got, again, additional little shops and dining. It's well worth a walk on a Saturday afternoon to come down the street and take a look at this little town. It's not big, but it's got a lot to offer. Now, with that, I will mention there was a particular instance where I was coming down this way and the school was having a field trip to, it was like this little area downtown. I believe they're going to the park, but they were doing a little field trip. The police officers came out and stopped traffic on all the roads to make sure all the kids could cross the street. This was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And you had a neighbor that was there on his golf cart. I mean, it is a quaint, cute little town. What you're also going to notice though is the street also comes up this way. So West Central Avenue, while you've got East Central here, you've got West Central that flanks off this way. There are additional shops, dining, etc., art galleries on this side as well. Now let's talk a little bit about housing. Now, where we see a major difference with regards to Mount Holly than many of the other areas of Charlotte. When I say other areas of Charlotte, I definitely mean, of course, even out into Huntersville, down into Rock Hill, Fort Mill. You are going to find proximity distance-wise in Mount Holly, but much lower property prices. So you can get a home for far less in Mount Holly than you can in many other areas. As of right now, the average home cost in Mount Holly is about $350,000, give or take a few. With that being said, we have seen a steady increase over the last several years, just like we've seen in other areas of Charlotte. So it's something to take note of. However, when I tell you this, what I want to emphasize is the fact that that is an average price. There are homes above, but what's amazing is that there are homes below. Now, when we take a look at the areas that Mount Holly flanks, I want to go ahead and highlight this as well. So right up here into Stanley. Stanley is actually not that far away. It's this teeny little road right here, takes you right to it. Stanley starts right about here. There are a lot of new construction builders as well as smaller builders that are doing new homes speckled throughout this area. Spencer Mountain, Mount Holly, into Arlington and Lucia, all the way through this area, which is, again, they're backcountry roads, they're smaller. But the nice part about this is it gives you the opportunity to get a home for far less than what you would pay in other regions and still get the proximity and availability to groceries and shopping and anything you'd want, as well as uptown Charlotte, which is just 25 minutes away. So when we're looking at this town, I think that's your biggest opportunity is from a pricing standpoint. Now, if you're also looking for styling, let's talk about this. So one of the other cool things about Mount Holly houses is that the average age of a home is about 20 years old. While home appreciation is up over 121% over the last 10 years, we're seeing consistent growth of about 6 to 8% every year in the Mount Holly area. Now, part of this growth and part of the expansion of Mount Holly has to do with people getting out of Charlotte, moving a little bit over the border, and I say over the border, that 485 border, to get a little bit further out, get a little bit more land, a little bit more value for your square footage. That's why a lot of people are moving out. It's also affordability. Not everybody wants to pay the sometimes outrageous prices that the Uptown and South Charlotte areas have to offer. and they want the safety, security, and beauty that Mount Holly has to offer, but it also comes with a cut in the price that they have to pay, which is an amazing opportunity. Now, I did touch on safety. Of course, every town has its challenges and has its issues when it comes to crime, but Mount Holly is outpacing the rest of the United States by several percentage points. It is about half of the violent crime rate of the US, and it is still lower on the property crime rates as well. So when you're looking for a safe city to be in, based upon stats that I see online and everything that I know about Mount Holly, this would be a perfect place to be. So what in the world is there to do in Mount Holly? Well, there's actually a decent bit for such a small town, so let's take a look. The first thing I want to zoom in on right here, we've got that little downtown of Mount Holly. Just to the south of this, we have 𝗖cie Park. Now, 𝗖cie Park is a beautiful park. As you can see here, there's a community center, baseball fields. This is an area that you're going to commonly, as well as soccer fields, you're going to commonly find people playing cricket, playing baseball, kids out there playing soccer for their Saturday soccer games. It is a very popular park, but as you can see, they also have running trails, and right through here is the 𝗖cie Creek. Now, in addition to that, a lot of times you'll find people launching their kayaks and canoes from this little launch point right here. Now, there's multiple launch points along the Catawba River that are publicly accessible. Duke Energy does make them publicly accessible. Some of them are more popular than others, obviously, but the public parks are going to be a great place for you to go ahead and do that. There's another one right here, which is actually the Mount Holly boat landing. So this is where if you want to put a motorized boat in or engine boat, you'd want to go ahead and probably do it here. But plenty of parking, widely available. You don't have to pay to launch your boat, which is awesome. Now, the next one I want to highlight with you is just over here, which we just talked about this one, but it's the Creek Kayaking Landing and Fishing. Right above that, we have this park right here, which is the River Street Park. Now, this is a simpler park. You've got a basketball court, you've got some playground equipment, but if you notice here, there's these little paths. There are some great little greenways that go out and around in several areas that you can go run or bike. It's not off limits to anything except for motorized vehicles. So one question I get a lot from people moving here is, where do I go for grocery stores? Where is shopping? How does that work? Well, I'm going to show you what you need to know. So Food Line is one of the more prevalent grocery stores here in the Carolinas. It's very competitive when it comes to pricing, and you're going to have several Food Lines in the area. So you see there's one there, there's another one down here, and there's another one further south. Now, in addition to that, you're also going to have Quality Grocery. You've got a few Dollar Generals in the area. There's also an Asian market, which is quite rare to have in this area in the northern side of Charlotte. There's a wonderful one down in South Charlotte in Matthews area, but you do have one there. In addition to that, you've got your usual, is what I would call it. You've got your McDonald's and your Taco Bells and things like that, but you've also got a lot of little restaurants, which I mentioned. Some of them are down in this area, others are along this route right here. Now we're talking actual shopping. If we come down over into Gastonia, all along this corridor right here, you're gonna find a ton of shopping. So we've got Sam's Club, Academy Sports, etc., PetSmart. All of this is only about a 15-minute drive from Mount Holly. So right here, right to down here. So not that far at all. If you are headed down out of Mount Holly, you're literally just gonna go ahead and hop on and either follow this to 85 and in, and that is about a 15-minute drive, so not bad. The other option you have is if we head a little bit over to this way. So right in here, there's a huge Harris Teeter. This is actually my favorite Harris Teeter in Charlotte. They have a sushi bar. They have a smoothie bar. They have a fresh juice bar, meaning you can get fresh orange juice like they do in Florida in this Harris Teeter. They have a wine and beer section that literally has a bar that you could go order wine or beer and go shopping. I think that's the best way to shop. Personally, just my own opinion, but give me a glass of wine or beer. I will buy everything in the store. And of course, you've got your Chick-fil-A First Watch, which First Watch, do not miss. Delicious, delicious food. If you want additional shopping, you can head up this way towards the North Lake area. So in the North Lake Mall, you've got a Target. There's a Target down in Gastonia as well. REI, a couple of other specialty stores in here. And then you can go even further over to the Concord Mills Mall, which is right over here. Let me go ahead and make a mark on that for you guys. So this is the Concord Mills Mall, the North Lake Mall, Birkdale Village, which is a mall, and then you've got a shopping center right here as well as over this way. So you've got a bunch of shopping. Now, if that wasn't enough, you are also 20 minutes from a Tanger Outlets. That's right. If you are in Mount Holly, you pop right out here and come on down, and bam, right there, exit 4, just under the airport, is going to be the Tanger Outlets. So there's a ton of shopping available that's really close. The cool thing though, you don't notice that you're that close to everything. So aside from food and shopping and all those things, let's talk about healthcare. Where is there an available hospital? Now, North Carolina, Charlotte in particular, and of course still Mount Holly, we have a huge industry when it comes to medical care. In fact, Uptown Charlotte is home to one of the only level 1 trauma centers on the East Coast. So you have a lot of accessibility in the region to some of the best medical care you can think of. But when there's an emergency, we all know speed counts. So let's take a look at what's available. First off, you've got your Caramount Regional Center. Now, Caramount as well as Atrium and Novant are the 3 major players here in the Charlotte area and in the region when it comes to healthcare. Now, aside from that medical center right there, if we come a little bit further down, and this is, by the way, a 5-minute drive, you've got the Caramount Hospital. Now, this hospital is legitimately brand spanking new. I watched them build this thing. It is huge. It is a beautiful building, beautiful facility. You will be in good hands. Now, aside from Caramount, there are plenty of other hospitals in the region, as I just mentioned. Many of them are right up the road into Charlotte, but you will trip over an emergency center or a quick med or a hospital just about anywhere you go. So if you do have an emergency and need a doctor, they are there. Now, when it comes to doctors and where your everyday ordinary doctors are, they are speckled throughout Mount Holly and through Charlotte. And there's a lot of specialists that usually are in the Ballantyne area as well as in South Park. So if you do need to see a specialist, they are available. You just might have to drive a little bit further for those appointments. Now, the last and biggest thing I want to talk about when it comes to Mount Holly, I'll go ahead and zoom out here, is their claim to fame. Now, it's just across the river, but still considered the Mount Holly area, is going to be the Whitewater Center. Now, if you've never heard about the Whitewater Center, it used to be considered the National Whitewater Center when it was actually where they used to do the U.S. trials for kayaking and whitewater sports, which is so cool. Now, this entire park is actually controlled water source. So they did get the water from the Catawba River. It is all treated and stays contained within this unit. And then when they don't have the rapids going, it goes much lower. But this is one of the coolest parks. Now, I want to point out, first off, they have miles and miles of bike trails all through here. You can even see some of these coming in through this way. So many bike trails, it is nuts. Now, you can run them as well, but most people go mountain biking. The biggest part about this area, I'm gonna zoom right in here, it is a hub of activity. So every weekend in summer, there's a spot, this is River Jam. You're going to have musicians that are playing. You're gonna have beer available on tap. You've got food available. You've got all kinds of things, and it is a full-on family activity kind of location. So this is a little bit of River Jam. River Jam is something that that's what they call it, but it's just a nightly concert that they have throughout the week, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays in summer. Now, this is where you can go whitewater rafting down the actual rapids. It's pretty darn cool. There's also another venture that you go down that way. But what they also have are additional activities. Now, the best thing about this, it's a theme park, but it's an activity theme park. I've never seen anything like it, to be perfectly honest, where you can physically go do anything within this park and it's all under one fee. The second big part of this is you could go do none of the things and just go hang out there all day and do some of the free stuff for free. You just have to pay to park, which is $5. Now, we always pay for the annual pass for parking, which is $40. And if you want an annual pass to access everything in the park, it's $365. That's right, $1 a day. This is the kind of investment that we have made multiple times at the Whitewater Center. So what's available? You've got rock climbing, you've got whitewater rafting, you've got mountain biking, you've got ropes courses, which I'm gonna pull this over here. The ropes courses are right up through here. I mean, zip lining, you've got a couple big zip lines. You can do over water. This is called Deepwater Solo. I'm hoping it'll let me click on it here. Let's see if it'll let me do it. This should show some photos of it. So Deepwater Solo is where you actually climb up this wall completely unstrapped. And once you get to the top, you just drop into the pool. We've done it multiple times. It's a heck of a lot of fun, well worth going to do. Now, with all of this, like I said, it's all included. The other thing that's included is you can come right down here and go kayaking, or you can go canoeing, whatever you want to do, paddleboarding, it's all available to you. Now, in addition, if that didn't convince you that you should be a part of this, here's one of the other things that I'm going to note. In the winter, they also have ice skating. So you can go in, rent ice skates, and any activity you want to do, if you have a pass for the season or for the day, you can do it for the day too, you can access anything at no cost, all the equipment, there's no upcharges, you just go in, show your band, and you're good to go. That's it. It's as simple as that. So we usually come down here, literally we've been here twice already this year for ice skating. We go ice skating right in through here, and then we hop over and have a bite to eat, and then we come walk the canyon trail. So the canyon is a trail that you walk through the woods, but, and I don't have any photos of it, of course, but there are beautiful light shows that they do throughout here, and also some ropes courses. And just recently, they set up the Woodlands Playground, which is a cool little area where you can go through. Look how pretty this is. So it's a little nature adventure. If you have little ones, it is one of the coolest spots to go to with them, because they get to play. I mean, these are really cool too, but they get to play in these little tree houses. I absolutely love it. And my son loves it too. So the Whitewater Center is everything that you think it is and more. Do not skip it when you come to visit Mount Holly. And if you end up living anywhere in Charlotte, you'll probably end up with a season pass. It's well worth it. So as you can tell, not only does Mount Holly have a perfect location, and it also has the perfect space and amazing prices when it comes to homes, this may be where you need to check out if you're looking to relocate from where you are in Charlotte, or coming in from out of state or out of country. Now, as I mentioned before, go ahead and subscribe and be the first to learn about all of the upcoming events and market here in Charlotte. And I love to help people just like you who are looking to make the move to Charlotte, or possibly just relocating across town. So if that's you, all of my contact information is in the description below. Please call, text, email, or set up a Zoom meeting with me. Whether it's 9 days or 90 days from now, I'm here to make your move exactly what you want it to be. Till next time, I look forward to showing you around town.